Alright, what's up? Welcome back. So we're going to do some stuff today. I stayed up until 3 o'clock in the morning last night working on this car. Did some stuff with this thing, got the oil pressure gauge working, but I'm just going to do some more stuff. So my windshield wipers don't work. I don't know how to talk, but my windshield wipers don't work. So what I'm going to do is try to get the windshield wipers to work. I noticed that the windshield wipers stopped working when I did the original swap on this, when I did like the very budget swap. So I don't know if it's like a fuse or something like that, but the windshield wipers don't work, and I'm just trying to get everything working. So after that, then I'm going to go back and start doing all the interior panels, but I'm going to go through and check all the fuses, and I want to verify now that I did, spent like 3 hours getting the oil pressure gauge working, that it wasn't like a fuse or something weird electrically that was causing that gauge not to work. So I'm gonna do that. Okay. Alright guys, so I'm gonna check all these fuses, and I'll show you the way that I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna use the multimeter with continuity buzzer. So I'm just gonna go through and I'm gonna probe all the fuses. And if you guys watch my channel, you guys know that I reference this a lot, this multimeter with continuity buzzer. So there's 2 bad fuses. So I'm going to go pull those out right away so I don't forget that they're bad. So the 3rd one down, 4th one down. I'm just going to pop them out a little bit, and then I'm going to go back to them so I can just check this whole panel quick. There's a little gap opening on the top of the fuse that you can use a buzzer and check continuity between the terminals on the fuse and see if you actually have a connection. So I'm just going to go through all the way down, check all of them. I'm going to come all the way back up. And yeah, I use this thing a lot because it helps you kind of see what's going on without actually looking at it. Like, electricity's goofy. It's not like mechanical stuff where you can see what's going on. Like, you can see if a pump gear is broken in half. You can see if there's metal shavings. You can see all this stuff. So that looks like another dead one right there. I can't get any buzzer. And then let's check these. There, we had a buzz on each one of those. So now if I pull this one out, one's blown. I'll pull this one out. You guys can see that. One's blown. And this other one that we didn't get the buzz on. That one's blown too. So real quick, just run through the whole thing. Don't even have to pull them out. So now I'm curious to see what those are. And I have my little cheat sheet here. I didn't really look at it, but it was we had the 3rd and 4th one down, and then the 4th one down. All right, so we got the. How well you guys can see that. 3rd one down is FR whip. Front wiper, and then we got another 10 amp high low. That might be for headlights or something, not sure. I didn't have any problem with that. And then the 4th one down was the washer motor. Well, that's interesting because the washer motor was down in the bumper, and I took all that stuff out, and actually when I was driving around I ripped some of the harness out. I think the harness fell out under the wheel. So I have a whole bundle of wires in here that you can kind of see some of them snuck down right there that are, I just taped them off because I actually ripped the plugs off of them. So one of the wires I believe went to the AC condenser, pressure switch, and some of them were for the washer motor. So that makes sense why those would have been blown. And sure enough, we had a blown windshield wiper motor fuse. That was a 20 and 2 10s. I'm just going to go in my little cabinet here. Grab a 20 and then 2 10s, and we'll go back to the car. Alright, so I won't be surprised if I apply power to the circuit again and it blows the fuses. So especially the one with the windshield wiper washer motor, like that one might blow again. I'm not really even worried about that one. I just want the windshield wipers to work. But there's a reason that they blew, so if they blow again, then I know I have a short or something else. I'll have to do further troubleshooting. But I did do a lot of poking around in here before, like when I was trying to figure out the standalone stuff and I had the other harness in, and I was poking around trying to find, 12-volt power sources and fuel pump relay, stuff like that. So there's a good chance I might have shorted something out when I was poking around there. So let's just fire it up, see what it does. What would be really interesting, what I might want to try to do is unhook that oil pressure signal wire. I don't know why that would have anything to do with that circuit, but I could have shorted or messed something up when I was trying to get that gauge working on the old setup. So let's do this. Key forward. Not gonna start it. Oh boy. We got the windshield wipers. Coco, drill. We got the rear wiper. Everything seems to be working pretty fine. Alright, so that's what I wanted. Alright guys, so I thought of something. Maybe an epiphany here. Let's figure it out. So, I thought of this, and with the windshield wipers, I always have stuff stored on top of the windshield. Like when I'm working, when I have the hood off and I'm working on stuff, I always just like put a bunch of random junk up on the windshield wipers on the windshield. And I also usually have a bunch of little critters running around, and especially this guy, he loves to go inside the car and like play with all the knobs and whatever. So a theory is that maybe I had a bunch of stuff on here because I usually have a bunch of stuff that the windshield wipers won't even work. So maybe you flip the knob, and enough times of actually trying to turn the windshield wipers on, maybe blew the fuse. I don't know, that's a theory. It should be okay. This one seems like it might be a little shorter, like it'll only grab a couple threads. But then that one might be too long. Alrighty guys, so still just kind of plugging away at little stuff here. So I did some things, and I did post this on the Facebook page for the channel. I got all the interior back in, I cleaned everything. I even ran a vacuum through it, which is, you guys know me, that's a little bit rare for me. I usually have like tools and a bunch of stuff kind of around. Didn't do a great job on it, but kind of wiped down some of the dust. And then I even ran this white wire inside through the dash, so it went back behind the dash. Before I just kind of had it wrapped around the outside and then tucked into here. So I actually went and ran it inside the dash. That's for data logging the wideband. So when I have the HP Tuners cable hooked up, I just set the cable inside here and then plug the wire into that, and then have the computer sitting on the passenger side. So that stuff's all set up. Even went through and cleaned out the back end. There was a bunch of just stuff back here from when I bought it. I've never even really been back here. So stereo's not hooked up. When I did the wire harness, I did disconnect the wire for the amps and everything. So I might go through and add that thing back in there, but then I got everything all cleaned up. And when I was searching around back here and getting some stuff out of it, I ended up finding this little filter thing. So oddly enough, I was like, hey, I wonder if I can fit that on the top of the oil cap. So I pulled the oil cap off, and then it even had a hose clamp right on there, so it slid over snug, and then I just clamped it down. So I'm just going to use that as a breather and see how that works. I mean, I just found it and it was sitting there, so I'm going to try it and see how that goes. I don't see why it doesn't work. I mean, they sell the caps with the breathers already on them, so that should be pretty nice. I'll just have to watch for this thing like starting to collect oil vapor and stuff and see if it starts to leak. But other than that, I did get my fan on. Not on, I got it in, so I'll show you guys the fan. It is a Mishimoto fan, and this thing is an animal. I did unbox it yesterday. I kind of took it out, but I put it back away. This thing is a beast. I hooked it up to a battery, and it was blowing a lot of air. I just had it kind of sucked onto the ground like this, and it was blowing a lot of air. and then I picked it up like this, and then it lost the vacuum on the backside, and it started moving a lot. So got this on eBay from the Real Street Performance store, and I'm gonna put this thing on there. It's a 10-inch fan. It's supposed to be 1600 CFM, so maybe I'll give it a little sample. I'll hook it up and show you guys. Before I do that, I do have the car back up on jack stands right now, so I did pull the drive shaft out of it yesterday, and I did end up bringing the drive shaft in to have it extended. I'm adding 1.25 inches to the total length of the drive shaft. So I talked to Steven from LOJ about where the normal fitment is on his kit, because I use the LOJ drive shaft, and I asked him where the normal fitment is, and like sent him some measurements, and basically the space difference from the Collins kit to using the regular kit, LOJ kit with the spacer, it accounted for about 1.25 inches of difference, so that's where the discrepancy was. So I am gonna add it, but that was just kind of me guessing, and it was a risk that I was willing to take. I knew it was going to be pretty close, but I just didn't like the spline engagement. Like you guys saw, I was driving it around, it was fine, there was no vibration, but there's only about maybe 1.25 inches of engagement on the splines on the output shaft. So I'm adding 1.5 inches, so it'll have like a good 3 inches of engagement. So drive shaft is at the shop right now. I brought it in yesterday, Wednesday, today's Thursday, 4th of July. So they're not going to have it today. He said he might actually have it done tomorrow. If he has it done tomorrow, that's like going to be my new place permanently for drive shafts, because I brought it in at like noon, 1 o'clock yesterday, and he said he's going to try to get it to me by Friday when they're not even there on Thursday. And they close at noon. So that means they had it for a total of maybe 10 hours and they're going to get it back. That would be just amazing. But the other guy, I like the other guy, but it takes a little bit, like 2 weeks. So I guess it depends on what my timeline is when I need a shaft. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna hook this thing up. I'm pretty excited about this. It's kind of hit and miss buying fans, and I needed one that was 10-inch and wasn't gonna be too deep. So I know a lot of you guys are gonna be saying, oh, just go get a Taurus fan or something like that. But guys, there's a reason that I just bought one, because I needed a specific size. So I'll hook it up, and this thing's gonna torque a lot when it starts. Oh man, that was bad. Oh, Jesus. Well, guys, and another interesting change of events here. I'm doing the fan wiring, and I didn't have wire that I thought was the right size. So instead of scrapping it together with stuff that I had laying around, I actually went to go buy what I needed. Right size wire, and I didn't want to get a red and a black, so I just took some heat shrink and then put heat shrink around this whole section here, so that'll be my black, and then I'm actually going to solder and heat shrink the rest of the harness together. So what I did was I cut the remaining portion of the factory plug off of the old ball fan that was on there, and I'm going to use this. So I'll actually have a plug, and then I'll solder this whole thing together and heat shrink it. So it has a nice little fan setup. And the spec on that fan, it shows it's only 10 amps of draw, and I just don't believe that. For how good that fan works, I feel like it's drawing a lot more than 10 amps probably, but that's just the reading, so that's what I have to go by. So anyways, I bought a bigger set of wires because it's got a big wire on the fan. This is like a 12 gauge, I think this is. Yeah, this is a 12. So even if it's excessive, I'd rather have it be excessive than What am I doing? That's not how you solder wires together, dude. Alright, so we'll do this. I was twisting them together like I was going to tape them. Oh boy. And I will remember to put the heat shrink on. I have enough wire exposed yet that I should be able to do this just fine. Okay, so this is all done. It's all soldered and heat shrinkified all the way down, all the way through. I did pick up some split loom. I got 2 packs of split loom. I'm gonna loom this whole thing all the way down. I did check this thing before I soldered it to verify that the polarity was right and the fan was moving the right direction with this plug. So basically I'm gonna plug it into this one, and then it's gonna go under the frame rail down by the intercooler pipe over there. So I'm going to loom this thing, and I also picked up a second bundle of loom, and I'm going to run some loom over my vacuum lines for the wastegates, just because it's kind of running in a little bit of a sketchy area, so I'll feel a little bit better if it's covered, and I usually do that. I have the truck done the same way. I have like some 3/8 fuel lines cut in half, and then I ran the vacuum lines inside the fuel line for a little extra protection, because I really don't want the wastegate reference breaking, because that's kind of what happened the first time I blew up the truck. Okay, so I think I'm going to end it here. Got the fan all hooked up. I guess I could give you a little test fire of the fan quick. So it moves quite a bit of air, and I can actually feel some suction on the front side here, so I feel like it'll be pretty good. We'll see. I'm just going to have it on all the time, not run by the computer. That's just what works for me, and that's how I like to do it, and then I'll watch the temperature and see what it looks like. But like I said before, cruising around, it wouldn't go above 190 without a fan, and that was on like an 80-degree day. So if I would sit in a parking lot or like sit for too long and like flash a file, I would have to go, you know, drive around again to cool it back down. It would start to get a little warm, but hopefully this will be just enough. It's got a lot of open space. I mean, there's vents in the hoods, and it's all open on the bottom, big open mouth on the front, so it does have a lot of airflow. Little vent here, so it should be okay. But I was coming out today. I wasn't planning on really getting a whole lot done. I was just going to finish up the clip that I was making, and I didn't even plan on installing the fan today, but got the fan installed, wired it decently, soldered, heat shrinked everything, and then protected some stuff. So I did run the loom. You can see the loom on all the vacuum lines now. I did run a vacuum line now to my fuel pressure regulator. So I did loom this line too, so it kind of just blends in. It looks just like wire. So it all makes sense to me. I'll show you the bottom side. So you can see that line there is the vacuum line from one wastegate, and then it goes in between the intercooler pipes, and then it comes over around on this side. So you can see why I kind of wanted to protect it a little bit. But here's the fan wire. I didn't have any zip ties, so I just used some leftover ties, metal ties from heat wrap kit, and then wrapped it down around the wastegate, away from the wastegate, and then over here to where the plug is up there, so it's not by the exhaust or anything, so it should be pretty decent. So that's it for this one. It's 4th of July today, so happy 4th of July, and I'm gonna go and edit this video, and then we're gonna probably go do some fireworks, have a fire, drink some beer, eat some food, do some freedoming. Have a good one.